Hello plant people, welcome to No Rules Gardening. My name is Jim Putnam.
And I'm Brie Arthur, and today we are at the beautiful JC Raulston Arboretum on the edge of NC State's campus in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina.
We're continuing our winter interest series of videos.
And there are so many plants here that we've decided to cut it in two. So today you will get to experience all the best that shade gardening winter interest offers.
Hi. I'm Mark Wethington, Director of the JC Raulston Arboretum at NC State University. The history of the Arboretum. Well, Dr. JC Raulston was hired to come to NC State University, and part of his task beyond teaching nursery management was also to help the green industry grow in North Carolina. The nurserymen helped them make more money, be more successful. And after having been around multiple areas of the country and traveling extensively, JC had come up with the 40-90 rule, that 40 plants made up 90% of the available plants in any region. Might be different plants in College Station, Texas than central North Carolina, but what he saw was that if everybody was growing the same plants in any area, there was no real room for growth. So rather than concentrating on how to grow plants a little bit cheaper, more efficiently, he set out to diversify the American landscape. And to do that, he took a research property adjacent to NC State and just started planting trees and shrubs from all over the place to see how they would grow. The things that did very well, he got into the hands of the nurserymen.
I'm Douglas Roran. I am the gardens manager here. It's a position I've held for a little bit over 3 years. The JC Raulston Arboretum has a living plant collection of something approaching 7,000 different types of plants. So when any visitor to the Arboretum will see, thousands and thousands of different plants, and it's really valuable to actually see a plant in person. It's fine to read about it online or even in a book, but to see it in person, see its growth habit, see how big it gets, is all really valuable. Raulston Arboretum's goal is to evaluate plants to see if they're suitable for growing in this Zone 7 climate in the southeast U.S.
So briefly, I want to tell you a few reasons that this garden is special to me. Number one, I am actually from Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been to this garden and I've seen it change for more than 30 years. One of the main draws to this place for me is the number of taxa. People constantly ask me, do I have a plan in the landscape at my house? And my plan is to collect as many pieces as I can and put them together in hopefully some sort of logical way. But I am a plant collector. At heart, I'm a plant collector. And this is a plant collector's dream garden.
The JC Raulston Arboretum is really one of the gardens that's nearest and dearest to my heart. I do a lot of education with them, and I love connecting to people that way. But when I was working full-time as a propagator and grower, I depended on this collection to be able to gather new, interesting plants to be able to offer to the public. And in fact, my first ever television appearance on Growing a Greener World was teaching people how to propagate. And I gathered cuttings from this Camellia japonica Professor Sargent. Every time I see it bloom, I'm reminded of why I love the JC Raulston Arboretum. As soon as you walk through the front gate at the JC Raulston, you're greeted with a beautiful shade garden, thanks to the cover of this gorgeous live oak, also known as Quercus virginiana.
Yeah, this is one of the few gardens at the JC Raulston Arboretum that's a very, very planned space. If you'll notice when you come to this garden, there's a tremendous variety of plants, but most of the space is just one of this and one of that, blended together beautifully. But this entryway is a beautiful planned space.
So some of the key players here in this shade garden include Helleborus fetidus, the stinking hellebore, different cultivars of Carex, and one of my favorite plants, this clumping liriope named for a famous plantsman, Lynn Lowry. Since this is a video all about winter intershade, I think it's important that we address what shade actually means, because it's a confusing term that actually relates to a wide variety of varying day lengths. My rule of thumb is usually if a plant is labeled for shade loving, that means it needs to go into an area with less than 6 hours of direct sunlight.
To add to the confusion, depending on where you live in the country, what zone you live in may determine how much sun or shade a plant requires. Some plants that are hardy in zone 5 to 8, in zone 5 could probably take quite a bit more sun than in zone 8, where you'd have to offer it quite a bit more protection. One thing I think both of us would suggest is if you have an arboretum or a botanical garden in your area, go and look in their shade collection and see how they're placing them.
And a really good rule of thumb, when in doubt, morning sun or eastern exposure is always a good place to start. Here we are in the midst of the winter garden at the Raulston Arboretum, and we found a great patch of shade.
Yeah, there are other areas in the winter garden where the trees are fully deciduous and it's quite sunny in the winter garden, which is okay because the sun's on a lower angle and a lot of these shade plants thrive with winter sun. So I think one of the favorites for most people that visit the JC Raulston Arboretum is going to be the lath house behind me, which has an amazing collection of shade plants.
It really is an iconic part of the Arboretum. What I love about it is that it affords the staff to have a place to experiment. Now, I love a good garden experiment. And what they use this for, because everything is raised above grade and it's got dappled light, they get to know a new plant to better understand where it should ultimately grow in the garden.
We've reached the Asian Valley, and of all the years I've been coming to the JC Raulston Arboretum, this is maybe my favorite spot. It's got a sidewalk that meanders through the garden, and you can really get up close and personal with a lot of these beautiful winter interest flowering and non-flowering plants.
And this really is a great example of how Asian plants are well adapted and not invasive in the central North Carolina area of Zone 7. Now, they have incredible collections, including a massive array of Aspidistra, Rhodia, and Mahonias. So the Mahonia collection really is to knock your socks off.
So it's time for Brie and I to let you know our favorite plants in the shade collection at the JC Raulston Arboretum. And I can tell you, I can't narrow this down to one individual plant. So mine are going to be actual groups. And this is Rhodia japonica right here, which is really underused in the landscape. If you go to botanical gardens and arboretum, the collections of them are amazing collection of them here. But in the trade, for whatever reason, we just see very few available, if any, and it's just a super underused plant. I consider this like a hosta that's not scared of the cold. And so, you get all this incredible spotted leaves, striped leaves, just an amazing collection of Rhodia here at the JC Raulston Arboretum. So my next collection is the Akuba japonicas here at the JC Raulston Arboretum. This is Akuba japonica, Linda Eggins. There's a ton of Akuba japonicas here. If you go to shop for Akuba japonicas, you'll probably see a green variety and a spotted one called Gold Dust, but they're actually amazing. It's an incredible number of Akuba japonicas with different spotting, different striping on the leaves, different yellow variegations and creamy white variegations.
I agree with Jim. There are just too many options to be able to narrow it down to a specific variety for winter interest shade-loving plants here at the JC Raulston. So my top 3 picks are going to be large groups of plants, and my number 1 choice are evergreen ferns. You can get anything from an asplenium to a pyrosia dryopteris, or like this beautiful plant behind me, which I have never grown before, which is the intermediate bamboo fern. All of these plants thrive in more shade than sun, well-drained, evenly moist soils. My number 2 choice for winter interest here at the Raulston Arboretum are Aspidistra, also known as the cast iron plant. And the most commonly grown variety or species is actually Aspidistra elatior, but there are over 100 different species that are now recognized in the botanical world. So this is a greatly underutilized plant, particularly in the southeastern landscape where it just thrives in dry shade and the deer leave it alone. And there are so many beautiful varieties beyond just the plain green. And that's what I want to feature today. This is a variety called Asahi, and it has this great kind of central stripe of a white. Now, a key thing to know here is if you transplant this or give it a heavy dose of fertilizer, it will lose that variegation. So grow this lean and you will love it all year long. My third top pick for winter interest is Mahonia. And if you're not familiar with this plant, you need to Google it immediately. This is such a valuable broadleaf evergreen that has fragrant flowers in the middle of winter, but better yet, it tolerates dry shade and the deer hate it.
And so if you followed me for any length of time, you know Alyssium is going to be near the top of my list. This is Alyssium parviflorum, Florida sunshine. How can anything be brighter in a dark space? There are native Alyssium, there are Alyssium that are native to Mexico, and then there's lots of different crosses. I think I have 4 different varieties in my yard, but definitely a worthy addition to the yard. Deer resistant, drought tolerant, shade tolerant, and the scent of the foliage is just incredible.
Now that we've shared our top picks for shade-loving winter interest plants, we want to hear from you. So write in the comments below and tell us what you love to grow.
And don't forget to like the video, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification so you know when we upload a video. And go over to norulesgardening.com for additional information. Thank you guys for watching.
We'll see you in the garden.
Oh, Serene. Okay, I got you. All right, I got it. Okay, all right. So we've again. All right, okay. All right, okay. So many things to think about. Are you going to actually stand up there? Okay. All right.
I look tall for a change.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Outtake number 3.
Yeah, you do look tall for a change. Okay. All right. So, okay.